Ion Icon is proudly supported by Icon Nation and the Icon community. Shout out to our sponsors at Icon Bet, open source decentralized gaming, no deposits, play straight from your wallet. Icon Bet, made by the players for the players. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ion Icon. This is the day of the week that we bring you all the Icon news, talk through stuff that's going on in the market because that's just the hot topic these days. And with me, as always, is our co-host, Icongrapher. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Feeling tired, but good to be recording this episode.
Well, it's nice to see some green candles again. Obviously, last week was pretty rough. We did a bit of a for those who listened, and for those who didn't, you should go back and listen. Did a bit of a lengthy group therapy session, and I think that was on. So that would have been on about exactly 1 week ago, which I think was about when that first kind of crash happened. And then we had that subsequent one where ICX got taken all the way down to 80 cents or something like that. If my memory and timeline serve me correctly. So if anything, it was a preview of what was more to come. But it does look like we've made some upward movement thus far. It does sound, kind of just based on the glancing I have, it does sound, at least Bitcoin wise, we're not entirely out of the clear yet. It looks like it kind of has to recapture some of that, whether I don't know if it's 40K or 42K or one before the other. But as much as it's nice to see green candles, doesn't mean they're necessarily out of the woods yet. That's just kind of how, whether if you're a TA person, a technical analysis person, that's just kind of how they're predicting. Of course, TA isn't a predictor or anything like that. It's just more of a way of kind of getting a sense of possibilities of how the market could play out. And, I can't tell you the number of times I've seen someone who is, generally seen as like kind of a TA expert, who seemed pretty confident about something. And then all of a sudden it totally went the other way. So, again, TA, sometimes you kind of look too much into it and kind of say, oh, this person says this is what's happening. I gotta, I take it almost a little bit too I would say seriously, but sometimes again, it's even the best TA people are still only right a portion of the time, and if you're trading, that's sometimes kind of what you need. It helps you manage your risk, but at the same time, it doesn't tell the whole picture. So, as long as we get green candles, I'm certainly going to be happy. But we'll see. I don't know. Again, I don't feel like we're entirely out of the woods yet. I feel like I'll wake up one morning and then just see more red. But again, if you're zooming out, if you're focusing on the long term, it's better to not get kind of caught up in the day to day or even the week to week price movements. As long as you're well above your liquidation threshold on balanced, you probably shouldn't worry too much about what the day to day price of ICX is, especially if you have long term confidence in the project.
Yeah, agree. Look, I agree with you with TA. This is where the good technical analysis people and traders, they understand that it looks this way, but that's why they set their stop losses, right? And something I've never really mastered. Probably one of the biggest challenges, those stop losses. But what I also like looking at is on-chain data. I really, with everything going on, I follow Glassnode and the other guys as well, and check out what's going on. And since yesterday now, one of the big call outs they've been making consistently, even in this drop, we essentially saw the coin holders that were no more than 6 months old. So people who've literally bought Bitcoin in the last 6 months, and either just before the run up or in the middle or even at the top, they were the core people who have been selling during this crash that happened. So and what's funny about this is they have been selling straight into the hands of the older holders that have not sold one bit coin
The
at all.
the the accumulators, the long term
Exactly.
accumulators, right?
They're just sitting in the background, hovering them up. And look, even I agree, BTC at the moment isn't looking, it hasn't captured those key points that everyone, there's, 40,000, 42. Yesterday, though, late in the evening, another on-chain analysis came out around ETH, and there was a call out that, again, ETH on exchanges has reached levels before um, before the actual run up to the price high of 4,200, whatever it hit. It's back down. So people literally have bought a ton of ETH and BTC, but a lot of the ETH has been leaving exchanges with nothing new coming back on. And for anyone listening wondering what we're talking about, so if there's a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum leaving exchanges on a daily basis, that's a good sign because that's being bought up and then removed off the exchanges, which means they're not going to sell. But if it's running back onto exchanges in large quantities, that is usually an indicator that people are getting ready to sell, or there could be some volatility in the market as well. So, look, on-chain data is suggesting BTC is not yet calmed, but it is much calmer than while it was dumping. So everything's calmed down from an on-chain perspective. No big portions of BTC is hitting the exchanges to get sold, and quite a lot of BTC has left as well. But on the flip side, the analysis is that Ethereum has been withdrawn far more than Ethereum this post dump. So look, what my experience from on-chain, I read into it a lot, but I have realized over time it takes a little longer to play out. The on-chain metrics are showing this, but it could be a few days or a couple of weeks before that flows through. So in the past, if it's shown a large quantity leaving, it's not the next day where prices start to just skyrocket because there's less supply. It's taken a while. So I envision where we're just consolidating at the moment. So I must admit though, Icongrapher, last night I'm just about to go to sleep. I looked at the charts. Giant red candle, and it's just starting to rush down. I quickly switched off the phone. I'm like, I don't want to know. I just want to have a good night's sleep. So
Yeah, well, and it does look like alts are having a bit more strength relative to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of climbed up to around 40, and then it started to dip. I think it fell this either late this morning or early this afternoon, my time, and kind of fell back down to 38. And usually, over the last couple of months, if it dropped that much, the alts would kind of slip a good amount as well. But they dipped a little, but they, for the most part, kind of held their position. So I don't know if that's a short-term thing, but certainly an encouraging sign for, ICX holders and anyone else who's holding anything except Bitcoin. And I have a weird relationship with Icon just because, I think everyone, when they bought it, they bought it because, partly they believe in the project, but believing in the project means, I think the price is going to go up really high one day, and then one day I could sell and make a nice healthy profit. And I think that's as much as if someone in the community sells who's well known, people kind of get upset and say, well, why'd you sell? And then at the same time, knowing that probably at the end of the day, at some point, most of us will be selling some, if not potentially all of our ICX. And that's kind of what leads me to my point is, you kind of think of, like if it ever hits this, I would, I definitely sell, or that's where I'd start to sell, or whatever it is. But I always get conflicted because sometimes I think about, how high can I go? But I also think about, well, if it never went below a certain point, it might be better to just hold it, almost forever, just because, whether it's the
interest.
11, the 11% that you get naturally from the system, just based on the fact that, but just through staking. And then, so you're giving up that, you're giving up your ability to use balance and earn, balance tokens. You're giving up your ability to use OMM once it comes out in the future, as well as some of the other DeFi products and stuff that are coming out. So, at a certain point, I start to think more and more about, okay, it's at what point does it make no sense to sell, really, for the most part, just because just the passive income that ICX can give you is going to be pretty off the charts, and that doesn't even come into factor as far as with all the BTP, the tokenomics that got set up for, if that becomes as big as we all hope it will, that could accrue some nice additional rewards for ICX holders, and so there's just almost too much going on where we're parting with the ICX no matter what the price is. Almost seems kind of too hard to fathom and too hard to do, which is obviously bullish for holding the token as a whole, because it's got that much built-in value and built-in potential rewards. That's a lot of intrinsic value of the token, and where it becomes more important to hold it rather than to sell it. And I think that's everyone kind of gets that. but I think it's becoming a lot more and more real kind of each day as we see more and more opportunities for ICX to make money. So, I wouldn't mind if all my other tokens, skyrocket through the moon, and I can sell those and then just focus on, making long-term passive income through ICX. So that's kind of just how I'm starting to, thinking about things, and say, it's like, if it never goes below, say, a dollar ever again or something like that, as opposed to, oh, I hope it hits $20 or something like that. And both things would certainly be good, but it becomes a harder and harder choice each passing day.
Yes, you have great willpower to think like that and control your mind. I know. When you look in the community, yeah, price is a big factor. I get it, but I feel we're stuck a rock in a hard place as well. And I think this leads perfectly into our first bit of news to cover. We have Icon 2.0, and you can tell Min put out a tweet giving everyone a bit of an update. Now, there was some confusion around this. Oh, the guys are still building Icon 2.0. We don't know a timeline. Will they hit these dates? So Min actually came out and said he wanted to make it very clear the actual Icon 2.0 chain and all the work around it is done. It is. That's why
All
there's a
yeah, all the
test net.
coding, and all the technical work. It's like a it's a brand new box sitting under the Christmas tree, ready to be opened, essentially.
Exactly. Now, and this is where the challenging part now is part of this process is we're migrating the data on Icon 1 onto Icon 2. Now, I actually even recall having a conversation with Scott around this, and it's not as simple of just throw the data on the new chain and off we go. It is
Yeah, it's not copy and paste.
exactly. It is literally each block exactly the way it is on our chain at the moment has to be recreated on Icon 2.0. And so when they're copying and pasting, everything looks right, and all of a sudden, three blocks, the data starts copying a little bit randomly. So the block that's meant to hold the data has moved on to the next block. So they have to stop the migration, correct everything, fix it. So this when things like that happen, and that's just one of the thousands of different things that could be happening, but that's an example that the team does experience and have to work through resolving, and that's part of the process at the moment. So you can see Min's put out a really big tweet around this, covering where around this data migration is challenging. It is all ready and done, and obviously my comment "rock in a hard place" was, you can see right at the end, he makes a mention that, we're still creating new transactions, new blocks every day. So as they're catching up, we're creating more. And I really feel I've gotten this sense that, like, and I don't know, Iconographer, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got quite a lot of projects just waiting to launch, Equality and a few others that just haven't been announced yet. And I know a lot of them are waiting for Icon 2.0, and I'm starting to suspect that it is to do with all of this in the background, that the migration and everything is playing a part in going, you know what, let's wait for this. It will become far simpler. We'll have a lot more capability. We'll be more efficient and have integrations ready to roll out, etc. Would you think that's a fair assumption?
Yeah, I think so. And there's a lot of, even just kind of in some of the stuff I'm working on behind the scenes. People mention that, oh, this, right now it's really hard to do the X or Y on Icon 1.0, but once 2.0 comes out, it'll get a lot easier. And a lot of it, it's nothing kind of overly big picture stuff. It's a lot of more technical kind of things. But it does just kind of show that, from a technical standpoint and from a developer standpoint, a lot of new doors are get opened up, and to make things a lot easier, both in terms of how to interact with the chain, and then just kind of also ways to build on it and everything like that. And as has been mentioned, there's been 35, I think he said 35 million blocks that have been created,
Mm.
which is not a small number. So you can understand why that would take a while, and you want to get it right. And I think, well, if something doesn't get put in there right, all of a sudden, on Icon 1, this is kind of a worst case scenario, but on Icon 1.0, you could have, your ICX balance could be 10,000, and then, once it gets migrated, and if there's an error, then all of a sudden Icon 2.0 launches, and then you have 5,000 tokens or something like that, just because if a transaction in the past got messed up. So it's obviously in everyone's interest for it to get done correctly. So, when they first announced Icon 2.0, I think they said middle of the year, so I think that was June or July. It does sound like it's still on track. It's again, it's all built and everything like that. It's just a matter of kind of getting it up and ready for launch. So, we certainly don't want them to rush this part of things. I think a lot of people too expect some kind of switch to flip overnight. They expect as soon as 2.0 comes out, the price will go up and, everyone will start going crazy for it. I'm setting, I want to set expectations a little lower. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic. I think everyday users of Icon probably won't really notice it to a whole lot, when they, they'll send out the tweet saying Icon 2.0 is live. And I think people will kind of be like, okay. And then it'll all kind of run exactly the same on the surface. So I think, set expectations as far as that's concerned. I don't expect any crazy price movement or anything like that unless it's a coincidence. But obviously, like I said, kind of based on what I've been saying, what they've been talking about, and kind of the features it opens up, it's a really good. It is still a game changer from a behind the scenes standpoint and from a long term capability standpoint, and being able to kind of really open the door for BTP, which is clearly the killer app of the Icon ecosystem, I would say.
So, I wanted we'll do a separate episode around this, but we see at the moment majority of the eyes are on yes, Icon 2.0, new coding language, this that, but the other stuff that is changing that I feel will have a huge impact to some of the issues we encounter in the Icon ecosystem is, a lot of the changes that have been voted around the CPS funding and reward rates and inflation, they've actually all been voted and decided. But one of the key things is they're not launching until Icon 2.0 launches because they're being built into Icon 2.0 with those changes. So we will see, we talk about the P-reps rewards, etc. That model is changing substantially. Now, at the moment, inflation, only the rewards that are going to the Icon Foundation is what's getting distributed into CPS. But with Icon 2.0, it will be the entire network's rewards as a percentage that'll chip into CPS. And when CPS hits 1 million, it'll start burning that reward ICX. So automatically that would reduce inflation if the CPS funds aren't being used to build or do whatever we need in the Icon ecosystem. And P-reps themselves, they'll have to, actually put a bond down. So based on the amount of votes they have. So I actually really like this because what it is no one can just spin up a node and essentially throw a bunch of votes on it and then, have this view. There's this view there that there could be P-reps that are just taking the profits and straight away dumping it onto market. Well, with Icon 2.0's changes, even if random people spun up a node, they would need votes and then they would need to put a percentage of ICX as a bond to ensure that they get a bit of a reward from running that node, which is very different to the way it currently is. So and there are further changes all around this, because it takes into account so a little bit of inflation goes towards BTP, the way the relayers need to run, etc. So there's a whole chunk on that side of things that is being changed and addressed to make the entire ecosystem more efficient, and the inflation is actually being used in every angle for Icon 2.0. The inflation is going towards how it can help support the Icon ecosystem via CPS, via the relayers, via a few other things that we will break down in future episodes. But I think it's a really important call out to everyone to keep that in mind. So we will see a lot of improvement around the space with Icon 2.0. So you're right. I'm not worried about price. This is not an eat two kind of situation here. But for me personally, I see a lot of the stuff in the background that probably has that we have seen through the age of the Icon ecosystem currently, and improvements are on the way. And it's a shift in gears. So I've seen a few comments around, but now P-reps need to build, etc., not getting rewards as high. But that's not the right mindset in my head, because all that's happening is you just have to switch gears. If P-reps still want to build, there's a large pool of funds available that you need to go and apply. You don't feel bad about it. You need to go and apply and get it through the line via CPS. Um, and on that note, look, while we're just talking, I know I've gone a bit of a rant, but I put out a tweet recently, and this is my point. Like, you won't you won't just walk into a business and go, I'm going to do this for you, grab all the money from the counter and run out and just go start doing it. If you were running a business and you wanted to get work, you would walk in, you need to pitch an idea. If the business was interested, they would give feedback, etc., until you secure the deal. And CPS should be viewed in this way as well. I see so many people like, and I'm not gonna. I'll call one out. I saw a really cool idea. It was a charity. CPS proposal around taking crypto and enabling so people could donate to charities, etc. But it's a great example. It's been rejected, and one of the main reasons it's been rejected is there was not much detail in the pitch, and it's asking for a lot of money. So when you think of it, if it's the community's funds, this is the first they're seeing of it, and it's just gone straight to ask for the money proposal. It hasn't been, floated, pitched, and goes, hey, looking to do this. This is what we're doing. This is what we're creating. Feedback, etc. The back and forth hasn't happened. It's just come in asking for funds. Naturally, it's been denied. Now, I'm hoping those devs don't up and leave. Really, though, they need to be educated to go, no, you can't just walk in and ask for funds. You need to float the idea, ask for feedback, see if everyone agrees, and then it's a whole process, and everyone needs to get used to that. So and that'll be a case for even established P reps. It's and I'll use Rhizome for example. Their project Coda, when it got rejected, why? It was just pitched, but it wasn't, I guess, at the start, the initial time, not enough time to get everyone's feedback. It was, they did go asking for feedback, but there just wasn't enough time. So they went back to the drawing board and took on some of the feedback that came through and all the rejection comments and enhanced it and came back, and it looks like it's going to pass. So everyone needs to keep that in mind. It's a back and forth, but it needs to happen. It doesn't matter. Marketing, whatever it is, it needs to be floated in the forums. People need to get a bit of buy-in before it hits the actual voting platform. So, I'm really excited. Icon 2.0 will enable a lot more of the rewards to get into the right space and help the ecosystem build. And I think at the moment as well on that, when you see 250,000, but if you see 800,000 ICX currently trading at $2, I feel people will be a little more lenient in approving things that are a bit more for higher budget. You know how it is, Icongrapher. If you have 200,000 and you see a project for 50,000, you're like, oh god, that's most of our funds. Is this a wise move? So look, good things are coming. Icon 2.0 brings more than just updated engine. It shifts the entire tokenomics as well for the Icon ecosystem, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so next one. Look, this was just a little tease. Reliant Node. I love this. They posted this tweet, and it's just him at his computer, and you can see on his screen the little wallet as an extension. We know Reliant Node is creating an extension like IconX. So at the moment, they have two products with their MyIcon wallet. It's a web browser, and you just use the wallet, MyIcon wallet, through the web browser to just keep your coins and stake. Or there's a mobile app. Now, the mobile app is brilliant because in the app, they have a browser that has all the dApps in there that you can load and just use through the mobile wallet. And now they're creating an extension that is going to replace IconX. And I've made a comment around this before. Tron Link, for example, they have an extension. It's quite cool. In it, it's got all the dApps built in on a different section, so you don't even have to go to the website. You can literally click in the wallet on the dApp, and it'll load up on the website connected. And it looks like this is the sort of features getting built into my Icon wallet. Well, from that hazy picture, this is what I could take away, and I got very excited about that. So they have taken feedback on and building out those features. So I'm really excited because the IconX wallet has dated. It's crap, and it's good to see the MyIcon wallets being expanded into the ecosystem.
I still use it. It's almost like a retro throwback now. So it's like all the cool kids will be using Icon X in 5 years, even though all the other cool stuff will be out by then.
Yeah, yeah. But look, it's well at the moment it's the only way to get things done, right? If you're not on your mobile.
For the most part. Yeah.
Cool. Well, next bit of
Uh,
news. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so Project Nebula, which I think a lot of people are excited about, it's been in development for a long time now. They've done a couple, I guess, a few airdrops by now of their NFTs. If you aren't familiar with the game, I definitely encourage you to go listen to our interview that we did, I think, a couple months ago with the team. And so for a while now, it seemed, it felt like we were on the verge of getting closer and closer to launch. And we now fortunately have a actual official launch date, which is the July 27th of this year. So almost exactly 2 months from now. They also put out a kind of a demo video to give you a sense of what the actual gameplay looks like. To my knowledge, this is the first instance of there being something super public as far as like an actual video. We've certainly seen a number of screenshots and everything like that. So obviously, still a little bit of a waiting left, but it's not easy to build things, especially games. But it is really nice to see that there's an official launch date already. I don't think they would have put it out until they were really really confident that it was going to actually hit. So of course there might be a delay, but I think I would be surprised if that happened, but certainly understanding. But I'm certainly looking forward to that date.
Yes. Look, I was in the beta. I played it a bit. It's looking very promising. And what I particularly loved about it, and given time constraints and personal life, I just loved that I could spend 10 minutes doing everything and then move away. It was. I mean, you could spend a lot more time, but I just loved that I could give it a bit of time, get the full experience, and step away and come back when I had more time and keep playing. And I've literally shared nothing there, but I just loved that's almost slipped. I almost missed that tweet. I looked at it and just glanced over it, and then I went back and said, "Did I see a date?" So first of all, Icongrapher, we're going to have to go to the guys and go, "How dare they not come on the show and give us the exclusive?" But apart from that, it's very exciting. This is our first game. It is our first game on Icon, isn't it?
Well,
Well, apart from
if you don't count Icon Bet, but yeah, in terms of more traditional kind of video game style,
yeah,
yeah, it is.
yeah, yeah. Very excited about it. Cool. Okay, the next one. So now, one of the community members went on to Zapper. I've mentioned this a few times. Zapper is essentially like, an aggregate of information on the Ethereum ecosystem. So when you put your wallet address, it will show you where you have what, kind of like the Metrics app that is about to launch on version 2 on the Icon
Yeah, it's super handy.
ecosystem.
Yeah, you can see, it shows you. I'm looking at the demo right now. It shows you, here's how much is in your wallet. Here's how much you have tied up in NFTs. Here's how much you have going in, for yield farming. Here's how much you have in liquidity pools, and then also breaks it down by network and everything like that. So right now, I think everything on there is Ethereum based, but they're obviously looking to potentially expand beyond that.
Yeah. So yes. So at the moment they have Ethereum, they have the Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon Network. So and there's various other functions built into this protocol that people can just use Zapper instead of going to, for example, Balance. They could use the Zapper interface and interact with various functions of balanced. So one of the community members has gone in and put a pull request through to kind of go, hey, could you integrate balanced? Now, we are already at 200 and we need votes. So people need to go log in. You log in, you can use a Google account, Facebook, whatever you want, or be, private and do the sign in manually. But we're at 210. Now, I was looking through these pull requests and even put a tweet out about it. One of the biggest, the most requested is a protocol called Updog Finance. Okay, now the name says it all. Okay, Updog Finance. It's one of those protocols that has popped up on Binance Smart Chain, and it has
Well,
six.
I imagine the joke is people say, "What's up, dog?" And you
Yes,
say, "Nothing
yes,
much."
exactly. Would you want to trust your money in a name like that? I don't know. I don't know. Like sometimes I worry where they pull these names from, and they do realize that you're asking for money, right? Anyway, we're up to 210. That has 670 votes. Okay, in the balanced Telegram group, we have close to 4,000 people alone. I cannot stress how I've been promoting this left, right, and center. You know, we talk marketing, we talk, oh, this is literally visibility. I cannot tell you how many eyeballs end users Zapper has. They've captured a huge market because they've taken certain complications and simplified it. That's why everyone runs to the protocol going, please integrate me. Now, we've been trending on here for the last 3 days. So when you click on the trending section, the first thing up there is balanced. And you know what that shows, everyone? Balanced, and it's on the Icon ecosystem. So votes have started slow. 210, I thought we'd be in thousands by now. I thought we had this covered. So everyone listening, if you haven't already, get on there. I'll have the link in the show notes. Get in there. Please vote. This is huge to just get exposure. You know, we probably are getting new users just from this request because people see the link and go, hang on, let me check this out. What is everyone talking about? What I do love is the people who have voted, so many iconists have actually taken the time to put comments and tell people about their experience of what they love about it, and majority of it is the UI. It's so simple, you know. But kudos, awesome work, everyone. Like, I've been enjoying reading all the comments. I can see, you know, it's a really strong representation of what we know the icon community is. So if you haven't
And I
already,
do.
get in there.
And I think if I'm adding up the thousands of people over the years who have complained about the quote unquote lack of marketing. Here's something that you yourself can do. It takes 5 seconds, maybe a little longer than that, but would give if it's especially if it's successful, would give Balanced and this icon a lot of exposure to new audiences on multiple chains. So if you're one of those people who has been complaining about marketing and things like that, here's your chance to contribute it in your own way that doesn't require any high level sophistication or expertise. It's just a matter of providing your brief input and thoughts and casting a vote. So something to consider.
Totally. And you know what? I vow until we hit 700, I will be hounding Twitter and Telegram groups constantly with updates. I have been doing it and I'll keep doing it because I think we should already be there. But great initiative. The community member who did that, fantastic work.
So speaking of DeFi icon DeFi products, OMM, I guess, or is it pronounced OM now? Did we get that?
It's Lisa
Okay.
has
I'll have to
corrected us.
train my brain. I'll have to train my brain to do that. Anyway, they have they created a problem called they call it the Monk problem. I'm sorry, program, and it's basically a way for still we don't have all the full details yet, but it looks like a way for people to get involved with improving and kind of tweaking I assume the final stages of the project. I wouldn't say it's beta testing necessarily, but it does seem kind of something along that where you can kind of help out, provide input, that sort of thing on the project. I have checked their Discord. People kind of keep piping up saying, hey, are we still on track for release? And they say I believe it's essentially, we're still looking at a quarter 2 release, which quarter 2 being ending in June, would put that theoretically, ideally, it would launch this coming month. Obviously, they've had some delays, some potentially within their control, some of them not in their control. So they didn't want to, proclaim officially that they'd be out in quarter 2, but they are still seemingly optimistic about coming out then. But if you are interested in being one of those kind of early helpers or early contributors, or however they phrased it, be sure to check out that application and fill it out if you haven't done so already.
Yep. Look, I've got, as always, get in there with everything. So, look, yeah, excited about this. It's great they're reaching out to the community. and looking for people who are interested in helping in any way, shape, or form. So if you've missed that, we'll include that in the show notes. I think it's close to wrapping up soon. There has been quite a large volume of people jump in and show interest, which is great to see. Next up, we have a balance. So this is a good one. You know, we can see the team constantly listening to everyone's feedback and making changes and iterating. And one of the things they have heard is the $50 loan limit. So as you know, at the moment, you earn the balance rewards. The balance token is a governance token that you can stake and earn network fees. But one of the prerequisites for this was you needed to have a loan, minimum of $50. So you had to take out a loan. Now, they've revised this and you no longer need a loan. So you could literally be holding balance tokens and just stake it, and you will earn rewards that the network generates that goes into the DAO fund. So I think this is great. It just goes to show that, you know, originally we were also for the $50 loan because it ensured people use the protocol. But I think what we found is the protocol itself is so valuable, people are just going to use it. You don't need to have the limitation. It's too good not to use. What are your thoughts, Iconographer?
Yeah, the original setup was, they wanted to make sure you had kind of skin in the game in order to earn those potential payouts. But it does seem like that, between having a loan isn't the only way to have skin in the game necessarily. And I think everyone who is, owns balance tokens, even if they're got airdripped, I think is, definitely has some skin in the game one way or another, whether it's having a loan or providing liquidity to one of the pools. Or I guess you could even say even owning balance itself. So it's nice to see that. I don't think there were too many people who own balance tokens and were staking them who wouldn't have potentially qualified, just because it is a relatively low bar to cross. But nonetheless, probably a good way to kind of further open up the platform and make it a bit more welcoming and lucrative for everyone.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so look, one thing to also, I've been reflecting in news from the news perspective. We've trying to give a bit more insights into other things. When you will see in bull markets, and we saw this before. I remember even in the 2017 bull market. 2017 it was more pronounced that the price reacted with news, and everyone in the zoo timed their news exactly at these key moments, and price exploded afterwards. And some of the news was irrelevant. This time around in the bull market, it hasn't been as bad in terms of news impacting price, but it still has an impact. So when we have these large corrections and stuff, though, it is normal probably to scale back on the news front a little bit. So that's what we're seeing here as well. The teams are still head down, and this is a good point. It was great to see everyone. We had Min, we had Scott, we had various teams in the Icon ecosystem. When the dump did happen and it was a rough week in the markets, all of them came out. Yes, we know it's a rough week, but just don't look at the price. At the moment, everyone's still building. Nothing's changed from the Icon ecosystem perspective, which is great to see. So, look, from our end, this is the weekly news. What we are excited, we are excited. We're going to have IAM on the show. We're going to have a marketing firm come on the show and talk through certain different aspects. Excited to have them on as well. We're going to have Ibras on. We've got heaps of teams planned. We've also got some of our BTP partners that we're going to get onto the show and first get them to introduce what their chain, what their protocol's about, so everyone in Iron Icon is aware. I gave a quick rundown, me and Iconographer, but we probably didn't give it justice. So there's a lot planned on the show and a lot of exciting episodes coming up, so stay tuned. Iconographer, have you got... Yes.
Yeah, I just want to flag also the episode we did that was essentially a recording of the Clubhouse chat regarding balanced. So really, some really insightful stuff happened in that. I think it was probably our most listened to episode. Yep. I think you have the data, so I'm not 100% sure. But nonetheless, so I imagine if you're listening to this one, you've probably already listened to that one. But if not, definitely make sure to give it a listen, just because they do talk about some potential changes to the system that are pretty exciting if they can make it work correctly, and certainly kind of definitely have the long term growth of the platform in mind, and trying to address a lot of the concerns that emerged from the community, especially when it comes to rebalancing and things like that. So definitely give that a listen if you haven't done that already.
I think Graph, all we need to say is imagine every time there was a rebalance, your stash got higher. It went up. So
Yeah.
if this is what interests you, listen to that interview. Scott gives, extremely detailed breakdown and so many other future plans. I have to admit, one of them just went completely over my head, and you can tell because I don't question it any further. I just move along. So yeah, look, very excited, especially the rebalancing changes. I hope everything's going to plan. And while Icongrapher, you were missed there, we're hoping in the next sessions you're going to be around because I know the team is keen to do every 2 weeks to set stuff like that up so that it engages with the community, which is great to see. This is what the community's been asking.
Yeah, and we might, Clubhouse. Not everyone's familiar with it, so we're exploring. Maybe do we want to do it on Twitter Spaces or something like that? So just kind of whatever we can do to make it more easily accessible at the time, and of course, whatever. Ideally, being able to rebroadcast it on either our channel or someone else's channel or whatever it might be. So certainly look forward to that.
Yep, and full credit there to Donny. Thank you, Donny, for everything you did there. Appreciate it. Okay, look, that's it. Thanks everyone for listening. As usual, subscribe, like, share, get it out there, but give it a listen. And if you haven't already, I'll have the video at the end of this. It'll pop up, that Clubhouse interview, so you can click and listen to it, which it was really good and worthy of everyone's time. So thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.